Hello, grade 2 pupils. How are you today? Are you ready for a lesson this week? We are already in our module 11, and the title of our module is The Earth's Surroundings. And in this module, we will be learning about the Earth's surface. Now, the Earth is where we live, right? The surface of planet Earth is made up of land and water. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is made up of water and only 1/4 is land. Plants and animals live on land and in water areas. The land part of the Earth is made up of islands and continents. An island, just like what you can see in your screen, is an area of land surrounded by water. The Philippines alone has more than 7,000 islands. A small island is called an islet, and a group of islands is called an archipelago. The Philippines is an archipelago. However, a continent is a very large area of land. And the Earth has 7 continents. These are Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Antarctica, and Europe, including Australia. Do you know the different landforms around us? We will discuss them one by one. The land parts is made up of highlands and lowlands. The highlands are composed of mountains, plateaus, hills, and volcanoes. And the lowlands are composed of valleys and plains. And we will go over them now. What can you see in your screen? Yes, that is a mountain. A mountain is the highest landform on Earth. You can see mountains all over the world. Some people live on the sides of the mountains, and only a few live near the top. The top of a mountain is called a peak, and the side of the mountain is called a slope. And the highest mountain on Earth is Mount Everest, which is located between Nepal and Tibet. Now, this is a volcano. A volcano is a special kind of mountain. Why? Because it has an opening on top, which is called a crater, from which lava, burning rocks, and ashes come out. Lava is a very hot mud. Some volcanoes are active, which means that they can erupt anytime. Others are dormant, which means that they have not erupted for a very long time. There are several volcanoes in the Philippines. Even here in Negros Island, we have Mount Canlaon, which is a volcano. And in the Philippines, there are Mount Mayon, Taal Volcano, Mount Apo, Mount Pinatubo, and Mount Canlaon. These are the volcanoes in the Philippines. Now, what can you see in your screen? Yes, these are hills. A hill is a highland, but it is lower than a mountain. Have you ever seen a hill? And in the picture, that is the very famous chocolate hills that can be found in Bohol. These are beautiful groups of hills. And have you heard about chocolate hills? These hills have smooth slopes. Look at it closely. They have smooth slopes. And this landform is what you call a plateau. A plateau is an elevated land area that is surrounded by a lower land area. It is different from a hill or a mountain because it has a level top, meaning the top of it is not pointed like the mountain or the volcano, but the top of a plateau is flat. The best example is in the picture that you can see in your screen. Some plateaus are very wide and used as farmlands. Now we are going to discuss the lowlands. In your screen, you can see a valley. A valley is a flat, level land between mountains or hills. Usually, a river flows through the valley. Cagayan Valley is the largest valley in the Philippines. Now, this is very common here in our place, that is plains. A plain is a flat, level land. A plain is a good place for putting up buildings, airports, and railroads. Rice fields are usually found on plains. Farmers plant their vegetables like string beans, eggplants, and other crops on plain areas. This is also a plain. Plants grow on land. People and animals live on land. People cultivate the land and grow different kinds of crops on it. Just like we can see in our photo, that is a rice field. So land is very important. Plants that people and animals eat grow mostly on land. And let us help one another to conserve the soil. Now, let's proceed. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. So where do you think people get the water that they need? Where do we get our water? What other bodies and sources of water you know? Which one is a source of water in your place? Let's discover that one by one. First, we will discuss about seas and oceans. Have you ever gone swimming to the beach? Of course you do. The ocean and sea are very large bodies of salt water. The ocean is the home of whales and big fishes. The Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean in the world. The sea is a smaller water form. It is smaller than the ocean, but still, there are plenty of fish on it. Our country is surrounded by seas. The Philippines is surrounded by seas. These are the West Philippine Sea and the Celebes Sea. And this one is a river. There are big and small rivers in the Philippines. Rivers are bodies of fresh water. Seas and oceans, the water on it is salt water, while in the river, it's fresh water. They start from streams and brooks and keep on flowing until they reach the bay, gulf, sea, or ocean. The side of the river is called the riverbank, and the bottom of the river is called a riverbed. The longest river in the Philippines is the Cagayan River, while the longest river in the world is Nile River. Now let's go here. This is a lake. A lake is a large body of fresh water surrounded by land, just like in the photo. Some lakes are developed into fish ponds. The water in some lakes often comes from a river. In other lakes, water comes from underground. Lakes are the home of freshwater fishes. Examples of our lakes in the Philippines are Lanao Lake and Taal Lake. Now, this one is very familiar to us. This is a pond. A pond is a small body of fresh water surrounded by land. It is smaller than a lake. Milkfish, bangus, tilapia, prawns, and crabs are usually raised in ponds. Different kinds of plants and animals can be found living together in the pond. Now, this one is spring. I like this. A water that comes out from the ground is called a spring. Spring water is usually cold, but water from a spring near a volcano is hot. This kind of spring is called a hot spring. And this one, have you been into a waterfall? Have you seen a waterfall? Yes, when water falls over a cliff, it is called a waterfall. The famous waterfalls in the Philippines are the Pagsanhan Falls and the Maria Cristina Falls. But here in our island in Negros, we have plenty of waterfalls as well. The rivers, streams, lakes, ponds, and springs and waterfalls are sources of fresh water. However, underground water is the best source of drinking water. Have you seen this? Well and water pump? It is the best source of drinking water. It is taken from underground sources. People use water pumps of deep wells to get water for their needs. Water has many uses. Plants need water in order to grow. People and animals need water for drinking. The earth is where we live. It is like a giant ball that is made up of land, water, and air. Some of the landforms on earth are the plains, mountains, and valleys. And some of the water forms are the oceans, the seas, rivers, lakes, ponds, and waterfalls. But to all of us, earth is a precious gift from God. It is at perfect distance from the sun, making earth not too hot and not too cold to live in. As such, it can be a home to us and other living things. And that is the end of our presentation. I hope that you have learned about the surface of the earth.